proprietary colostrum concentrate.
All right, take one again. Welcome everybody to the Dauntless Academy podcast. Today we're doing the supplement Q&A. You guys submitted questions, and then we will give you our best educated guess and answers on the things that we researched and the things that we've seen over the years. I think the big overarching theme that we're trying to do is maybe educate you on how to approach supplementation in kind of more of a broader sense, instead of trying to say like, oh, you have to take creatine, this is the best thing for you, or it worked for me, it has to work for you. More of a lens in which you should approach it. So we'll just dive right into it in the first question, which is, when is the best time of day to take a supplement? So in the little questionnaire, I said to try to be specific on the question, so we can say, we don't have to just say it depends. And unfortunately with this question, it does depend. It depends on what. So as we go through, we'll talk about timing and some of these supplements to answer that question, but you kind of have to be a little bit more specific on what supplement. Most supplements, especially like vitamins and stuff, you can just kind of take whenever. It's like a daily thing. But other supplements will have specific timing on their, suggested uses.
Right, and if it's a supplement that you need to take every day, I think the best time of day to take it is the time you'll remember to take it every day. So correct, for me, like if it's something I want to take every day, I always take it in the morning because I always just bundle it as like part of my morning routine of like making breakfast, making coffee, take my supplements, and that's just part of my routine. Now, if it's something that you're using as like a sleep aid, for example, then that's something you'll have to take in the evening. Or if it's something that you're doing in terms of like your timing with your workouts, then you're going to take it around your workouts. So this is where the it depends is really going to come into play. And then the other thing to consider is if it's a supplement that needs to be taken with food or without food. So just timing that appropriately.
And then another, I guess, layer that we should add on to this while we get deeper into the questions is kind of separating out what is a health supplement versus what is a performance supplement. So some performance supplements can also be health supplements, and some health supplements can also increase performance, but there is a little bit of a line there of why you would take something. And if you're looking for longevity or overall health, some supplements may still give you a benefit, but might not be achieving the goals that you want. And then, so let's see. Sleep supplements. Hearing about magnesium. What's the deal with melatonin? Thanks.
Yeah, so magnesium and melatonin are both things that are kind of commonly discussed as sleep aids or supplements. Magnesium can be helpful for daily use, and lots of people are deficient in magnesium, so it would not be like a bad idea to add magnesium in anyway as a supplement. This is definitely something you'd want to get like checked with your doctor before you start taking it, although it would be very safe to take either way. Melatonin is good for like short-term use. Like it's not something that I would recommend someone take like every day just for like long-term use, but if you have like bouts of time where you're really having trouble sleeping, or you're suffering from jet lag, or you work like shift work, or things that are really going to be very disruptive to your like normal sleep cycle, like that's when something like melatonin can be really helpful, but it's not something you should be taking on a daily basis just to like help you fall asleep.
And if you are taking it on a daily basis, maybe try to find other factors of why you feel that you need to take melatonin every single night, and maybe some lifestyle factors can help wean you off of melatonin, and then you can use it for its actual use, like you said, which is like a temporary.
Right, and that raises a good point, just in that all of these things that we're going to be talking about are going to be in the context of like, what does the rest of your life and your diet look like? And because a lot of things can influence your sleep habits or your sleep hygiene, and so having like a really good routine like leading up to bedtime could be like all you need in order to like get better quality sleep instead of adding in a supplement. So these are always things to consider, like look at yourself as a whole instead of just like, what else can I add on that's gonna like make things better? Like maybe there's like simpler solutions, like just like not using your phone an hour before bed, or like reading before bed or journaling or something, some sort of like wind down routine that would be enough to help your cortisol levels come down versus like trying to influence them with a supplement to kind of achieve the same thing. So a lot of these things that we're going to be discussing, not just in terms of like sleep supplementation, but we're going to kind of take it in the context of like, are we also addressing these other factors that we could be doing as well?
Yeah, which is the not fun answer, right? Everybody wants to be like, no, but what supplement gives me all of the answers and all the solutions?
Right, and a supplement is just something that you're adding in on top of like things you're doing on a daily basis. Like these aren't going to be instead of doing all of these things that are going to be giving us like that healthy, balanced like lifestyle and nutrition habits.
Right. The ideal situation would be that you don't take any supplements because you live a lifestyle that enables you to have, a completely healthy diet profile and habits and everything. But then you just use supplementation as just like I'm just filling in this gap. If you look at your whole life and you're just like, I have all these supplements for all these gaps in my life, it's like it might be worth fixing those gaps in other ways than just trying to add supplementation.
Right. At least when it comes to general health and when it comes to like athletic performance, there are always things that we could be like adding on top of that, assuming everything else is already like really fine tuned, then we can add on top of that to then further like enhance our performance like, in a legal way, of course.
Right. Yeah. Or an illegal way.
I mean, if that's what you're really out to do, sure. Although we probably won't go into that.
Right.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Not something
illegal
I've learned about in school or anything.
Same. Which leads us to this next question's really good. I think it also will help lay the foundation for the rest of the questions. Are there any supplements that people generally can benefit from? I hear so much that multivitamins are a waste of money because you flush them quickly in urine, and supplements are often full of filler and not what is advertised because no agency checks for quality control. Other than vitamin D and fiber, is there anything else that people generally do benefit from? How to tell supplements you're buying aren't a scam, just filler. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so the first thing you're going to want to do is if you are going to be buying supplements is that you want to be purchasing one that's been like tested by a third party. So they're going to have like labels on them that give them that third party certification. So something like NSF or USP certifications, and that will be like very apparent on the bottle. If it's not apparent, then it probably has not been third party tested, and so that's going to test them for quality. Is what's actually being advertised, is that actually what the supplement contains, and then making sure there's no like contaminants also in that supplement. So that's going to be the best way for you to determine, is this supplement even safe for me to take? Am I actually taking what it says what I'm taking, or is it just filler or some other contaminant? So that's going to be the first thing to check.
And then also with that testing, like you said, they're testing if what they're saying is in there. The claims that they can make can be pretty wild because they're not, the FDA isn't regulating them. So they could put 50 milligrams of caffeine in there and then just list all of the potential benefits that you can for caffeine, and it could be a supplement for something completely different, like maximum focus and prolonged energy and better metabolism and all this stuff. And it could just be like a vitamin C supplement. Right,
or like a vitamin B complex and caffeine.
So typically if it's like a wild claim for something, you're like, wow, this supplement seems like everything I need, it could just possibly be a lot of marketing and not actually like what's on there. And then like you said, probably the most important thing about supplements is what you're buying actually in there. And the more of those badges you see on there of like the NSF and stuff, the more likely they are to have that, because that is a process that they have to pay for to put the logo on. So no supplement company is going to leave that off and be like, that's something that they worked very hard for to get on their bottle.
Right. So typically a supplement that's going to cost less doesn't have that third party certification. So while it might be tempting to like spend less money on the supplement that you're intending to use for like daily use, if it doesn't have that seal, you might just be buying like a much lower quality product.
Yeah, and I lightly looked into like, how would somebody start selling a supplement? Like, let's say you and I wanted to start selling a protein supplement or an energy supplement. It's kind of like you can just put it out there in the market and claim whatever you want, and unless you get caught, anything flat. So we could fill it with flour and caffeine and be like, hey, here's our, immune boosting, muscle building protein. And it's just flour and caffeine in a little bottle that we wrapped in there. And then it would have to take somebody to test it, or the FDA to get involved that you're like hurting somebody or doing something, and then you get caught and then recalled. So it's kind of like a if you get caught situation. And then the second half of the question, which I think is probably one of the best ways to evaluate what supplements you should take in terms of health, is the people that say like you're just peeing the multivitamins out. If you don't need those so if you're not deficient in those vitamins and you're taking them, you're not getting the benefit, especially like water soluble vitamins. Once you hit that cap, taking more of it, you do literally just pee it out and your body has to process it. But if you do some blood work and you're low on vitamin C or vitamin D or any of those things, then supplementing those will give you really great benefit. So there could be a situation where you're like, oh, I took this supplement, it was amazing, it was perfect for me, you should do it too. But if you're not deficient in what I'm deficient based on diet, you're gonna take it and be like, I don't know, didn't really work. It's not the supplement's fault, it's just you weren't vitamin D deficient. You get enough sun, or your diet has enough of that in there.
Right.
So anything to add on the blood work?
I don't think so, but so that is a good point. And I think I mentioned this earlier already, that getting blood work done to see if you're deficient in something is a good kind of precursor to starting a new supplement, and then maybe retesting in some number of months. Like vitamin D is one that is pretty commonly checked like on a regular basis, especially if you're very deficient, because sometimes you'll be prescribed like a higher dose of vitamin D supplementation, and then you can back down the dose once you've increased your vitamin D levels, for example. But there are certain things that aren't going to pop as being deficient because your body likes to maintain balance or homeostasis. So something like sodium or potassium or something like that, our body is always keeping those at balance. So we might have like a low potassium diet, but our body still finds a way to keep our potassium levels balanced. Otherwise, we would die.
Yeah, there are certain supplements that you just can't go too low on too quickly. And your body has a very good way of like, I'm like really craving salt right now. All right, so next question will be long-time listener, first-time caller, aka it's Clay. What's up with your take on AG1? Overpriced, legit, waste, better multivitamin anywhere else? Any unique benefits?
So AG1, for those who are not familiar, is like athletic greens. So if you have like a greens or a reds supplement, that's what the question is referring to. Can it be beneficial? Like, of course. So in AG1, it's not just a multivitamin, but it's going to contain like this large spectrum of like micronutrients and like plant compounds and all sorts of other things that have potential benefits for us, like adaptogens, probiotics. I forget what else is in there.
Omega-3s. It's basically a huge catch-all net.
Right.
And so if you're deficient in a lot of things, that could be a wonderful supplement and underpriced. But if you're keeping up with stuff and you have a really good diet and then you think AG1 is going to be this, like, you're probably only taking like 2 or 3 aspects of that nutritional supplement, and that's what's boosting you or making you feel better.
Yeah, so evaluating your diet, seeing if there are holes. If there are like a lot of holes in your diet, then maybe this is a good like filler until you can manage your diet a little bit better on your own. It's also could be really helpful. Say you're just gonna be like traveling a lot and you know that your diet quality is gonna be kind of out of your control because you're like at a work conference for a whole week and you're like, I have no idea what the food situation is gonna be. Or you're gonna be like staying with people for like visiting family for a week and you know your family eats like crap and you're like not sure if you're going to be able to have like as much control of your diet, or in situations like that where you really just are unsure of what your diet quality is going to be, like this could be a really good, just like Elliot said, catch-all to make sure you're getting kind of some well-rounded nutrition in place of like a balanced diet. But this should not be your daily replacement for a balanced diet. We should always be striving for eating a balanced diet that's rich in like all sorts of like fruits, vegetables, like other sources of like vitamins and minerals, all sorts of things before we're adding in something like this supplement.
Yeah, so I would say that AG1 is overpriced and unnecessary unless you live in a place that like you don't have access to quality food and all that stuff, but then you probably can't afford AG1 anyway. So it's like, what's in there, and do I think it's quality? Absolutely, but if you should be putting your effort, like you said, somewhere that maybe you just need one aspect of that supplementation, not that huge net.
Right.
So. Do you recommend any multivitamins or other supplements for women to support overall health and recovery from regular workouts, aside from and or assuming someone has balanced nutrition?
So in terms of supplementing around workouts, it's more just around like what nutrients do we need around workouts. So after a workout, ideally we're getting a source of carbohydrates and protein immediately after. So if that's not something you can immediately, like within like, let's say like 30 to 90 minutes after a workout, if you're not able to ingest like a meal of some sort immediately after a workout to get the most out of your muscle recovery, then yes, you can add in like a protein supplement or a carb supplement or something like that. And then like creatine can be very beneficial for lean mass growth. And so that's something that would be taken every day. And we can talk more on creatine if you want. I don't know if you want to do that now.
I was trying to save the performance supplements for later on.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think mostly it would be, hopefully you're getting some type of a blood work and seeing if you're deficient in anything, whether you're a man or a woman. And then that can, be, a lot of times supplements will say like for women, but they just put iron in there. And they're like, oh, this is an iron supplement because of, your menstruation.
Right, yeah. I don't think there are like supplements that are like more recommended for women than for men, or that are gonna like work better for women than for men. But so it's more just about like, are we assessing our whole picture of nutrition before and after a workout so that we're getting the most out of our workout? And then we can talk more on electrolytes, because I know there's a question on that later. Like we might need to supplement our electrolytes, especially in like the hot weather right now. Yeah. So that might be something that could be beneficial, more just for like, so that you're functioning well like after your workout, and then being hydrated enough the next time you come to the gym to be able to perform well again, because that's again part of like the whole point of recovery, so that we're feeling well enough to exercise again and like actually get benefit from it, and not just like kind of checking the box.
Correct, yes. All right, and then we can just knock out these 3 questions because we kind of already answered them. How do you know what brand is better than another? Mostly well-established brands that have been around for a while, they have those certifications. That's gonna be that, not the newest, most popular trending one. Like they just put a bunch of marketing. If it's brand new, maybe kind of wait a little bit, in my opinion. But
right,
most
if you're getting ads just pushed to you on social media,
that's just a brand new, like new cutting edge creatine, blah, 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 something different than monohydrate. It's probably they're just trying to push from a study or a peer-reviewed study that just came out that's very small. They're like, see, it does it. And then how do you know if you need it? We talked about that, like blood work, and first kind of seeking like what are your deficiencies, and then investigating what supplements that you could try, or lifestyle factors that you could try to fix that. And then what's the difference between supplements and versus a vitamin? So all vitamins are supplements, but not all supplements are vitamins.
Right, supplements is just a broader category of like other micronutrients, like minerals, like magnesium or zinc or something like that. And then supplements could also be your probiotics, your fish oils, like even things like protein, creatine, like a carbohydrate supplement, any sort of like enzyme supplement, like neurotransmitters like GABA. There's like many other things, like walk into GNC, all supplements, not all vitamins.
Then we have, what protein bar would you recommend? What benefits do they offer?
So there are a lot of
candy bars out there.
Yes, candy bars, protein bars out there. The first thing you want to do is just read your label. So you want to be choosing one that has the fewest ingredients in it, and ideally ones that are just coming from whole foods. So something like an RX bar is going to be like one that I recommend to to individuals because it's like a whole food source. It has a good amount of protein in it, and it has no added sugar in it. So we're looking for ones that have minimal added sugar, minimal sugar alcohols in it, and then how much protein does it actually have, and then ingredient quality. What benefits do you get from it? It's more of just a convenience factor of getting in some nutrition, some protein, some fat, and some carbohydrates when you're on the go and not able to eat a meal. This is not meant to be like a long-term replacement for a meal. It's more of just like a filler, like you're traveling, you're on the go, you're between meetings type of thing, and you just don't have the time to make a different choice or to eat like actual food.
A grilled chicken breast is probably the best protein bar that you get, or steak, New York steak strip.
Yeah, just put some heat on meat and you're good to go.
A little brand placement there. All right.
Yeah, the benefits are that it's going to help you feel a little bit fuller until you can get an actual meal. And then what helps with that is like keeping our satiety a bit more in check. We're not going to be so hungry the next time we get to our meal. It'll be easier to make a healthier choice when we're not like starving, and just kind of keep our blood sugar regulated by having those like smaller doses of just nutrition as opposed to skipping meals altogether.
Perfect. Okay, now getting into a little bit more of the performance supplementation. What can I do to kind of enhance my workouts or push the pace a little bit more? First, we got to start. This is a transition question. Is it cool to say sups, or should we stick with the traditional supplements? Thanks. So I have a very strong opinion on this. I think that if you have a shirt on with sleeves, you should be saying supplements, especially if you have like a lab coat or anything. But if you have no sleeves on, it's sups. And ideally, after you say sups, you push your chin out a little bit. That's probably the best way, you know.
Yeah,
what
I say
are
sups.
you taking? Yeah,
I say sups.
Well, you don't have sleeves on.
So he says supplements.
Supplements or supplements currently right now, because I'm closer to looking like a scientist. But I feel like that clears that one up. What are your recommendations? What, why, and when on protein powders, electrolytes, and creatine? Let me combine some of these because we'll just keep. What benefits of creatine? What are the benefits of creatine for women? And I say we just talk about kind of creatine in general, just to knock that out.
You want to talk about creatine first?
Yeah, creatine, because we just hit kind of proteins, and then we'll talk about creatine and then electrolytes.
Yeah, so creatine is an extremely well-studied supplement. Creatine monohydrate, if you're going to be taking creatine, is what you're looking for. You want just creatine monohydrate in that supplement. It's also extremely cheap, so an easy, like, so to say, pill to swallow on a daily basis, just in terms of like adding a supplement in. It's going to be a very cost-effective one. The most popular use for creatine supplementation is for like strength and muscle gain. Creatine is already something that's naturally occurring in our body. It's a part of our like cellular respiration. It's a part of forming ATP, which is our body's like energy source. So more creatine in our muscle cells means that they can more efficiently produce energy, which means that they can work harder. So creatine supplementation is kind of going to be most beneficial for that like 1 rep max effort. It's going to be like our shortest burst of energy, our like sprint speed, our maximum usage effort. Do you have more to add on that?
In terms of performance, I think also you can consider the compounding effect of what creatine can do. So some people in the gym may think they may have other goals other than lifting the most amount of weight possible. But if you start supplementing with creatine, you start lifting a little bit more day over day, and it's making your muscles stronger so that you can get your strength gains or your bone density more quickly. I think a lot of people also, and we could talk about this later, the negative side effects or the potential downsides of taking creatine. And a lot of people are afraid that it feels like this line that's crossed, like, oh, I started supplementing with creatine, like, am I a bodybuilder now? Are my hormones messed up? And there are it's a very, very safe supplement. And one thing that we did for healthy individuals, and that's what I was going to talk about. We did one of the exercise science classes that we took multiple creatine articles that studied creatine and the negative effects, and almost all of the negative effects that happened that people reported was kind of like a Well, yeah. So they talk about potential like renal failure in like kidney failure in creatine supplementation. They did a study where they took participants that had a prior history of renal failure. They started having them heavily take creatine and exercise, which also stresses your kidneys, and some of them had renal failure. They had one where some guy got compartment syndrome really bad from supplementing creatine. Oh, it was actually that he was taking 6 times the recommended dose, so he's taking 30 grams a day, and he had also had a history of compartment syndrome. And then some of the minor side effects, which can also kind of go on to placebo, is that, and I'm not saying that these don't happen, but sometimes like GI upset or dehydration, people can feel a certain way or like, oh, I feel bloated. But with the placebo of that, if you're not consciously thinking about how often you may feel bloated, but you start focusing on that, you may start correlating, oh, I started taking creatine and now I'm getting migraines. And it's like, well, have you just started thinking about how am I not feeling well today and then attributing it to that? So I think if you haven't taken creatine before and you've been thinking about it or it's been marketed to you or whatever, I don't see there's anything wrong with buying a bottle. Like, you're gonna at most spend $30 and you just take it every day for a month, and you might be underwhelmed with what actually happens. And if you start to feel true negative effects, you can just stop. It's not like, oh, I supplemented creatine one time and now my life is ruined.
Right. It's not something you're going to see immediate benefit from, but it's something just like when you're going through a strength cycle, you don't feel yourself getting stronger, but if it's helping you to work like 1% harder every single time you lift, like over time, that's going to compound to like strength gains, and like stronger muscles means stronger bones and muscles mean stronger joints. It's like more of like the compounding effect, like Elliot said. Now, another aspect, this is not necessarily performance related. I mean, it can actually be performance related, is going to be like brain and cognitive performance. Now, we do still need to like think really well while we're exercising. So that's where like it is still kind of like an athletic performance supplement. But a lot of people find that it can help them feel like sharper or have like greater like cognitive function when supplementing with creatine, because just like our muscles use creatine to create ATP to make energy, like our brain does as well. And so creatine is going to also help our brain have more energy as well. So that's why it can help with that.
In one of the meta-analysis that I read, it said that it does boost like some memory and cognitive function and everything. That science, I feel, is fairly new, and the participant size was like 500. So that's just clearly not enough people to really say like, oh, I started taking creatine and I'm a genius now. It's kind of more of an individual, like just start taking it and see how and what it does to your body, and you'll, like you said, it's just like maybe a 1% every day, and you
right.
You
I just made that number up, by the way.
Right. Yeah. But they could claim 30% on the bottle and everything.
Right. And then another potential benefit for individuals who are vegans or vegetarians, like creatine is naturally occurring in animal products, but not in plant proteins. So if you don't consume meat or animal products, then you might not be getting creatine in your diet, and so you could benefit from supplementing from creatine just to help kind of fill the gap a little bit from what you're not getting from your own diet.
Oh, and the whole reason why you supplement creatine, you're adding it, is because you, like Jackie said, you already have it in your body. Let's say you just walk around with 3 grams of creatine throughout your body, just made that number up. If you start supplementing it consistently, and this is why you have to keep taking it, your body will realize that it's more readily available, and then just increase your holding tank essentially of creatine so that you can use it more often. So it's just like creating the gas tank that you have and just making it a little bit bigger. It's not like changing hormones or doing anything like that. It's just stored in the muscle. You just add a little bit more to that gas tank. That's why you can get maybe 2 or 3 reps of something that maybe you could only do 1 time or 2 times, things like that.
Do you take creatine, Elliot?
Every day.
Same.
For
years,
unless I forget. Unless it's just like I don't ever like cycle off of it on purpose, but I just take my 5 grams and,
I know, it's part of my morning routine. Every morning it's just like, come down, just like scoop the thing,
Yeah, I actually do. I think the best way that I found to do it is I also this can move into electrolytes. I have my water bottle for the day, and I just put my
Is that
electrolytes.
all the water you drink for the day?
No, my electrolytes and my creatine in there, and then as I drink throughout the day and I refill that water bottle, I just consume all of the creatine. And I've noticed I haven't had any like GI upset. I think sometimes if you mix creatine like right after a workout or something with your protein, very small amount of liquid, sometimes that can, diluting it a lot more can help with the stomach upset if that's
if that's the concern. I mean, I take the 5 grams in the morning with like 4 ounces of water, and I have had no issues that I have noticed. But that's also like N of 1.
Correct. Yeah.
So listen to your own body.
What are your thoughts on colostrum as a supplement? What supplement?
We missed.
Electrolytes. We're going into electrolytes. Yeah. So, what do you have on electrolytes?
So electrolytes are helpful to supplement. Just for general use, electrolytes are helpful if you're going to be exercising like greater than 1 hour. For the most part, a 1 hour CrossFit class, you don't need to add in extra electrolytes unless it's like recently it's been extremely hot. I'm sure everybody's been sweating a lot more, usually sweating like as you walk in the door. I'm sweating right now. I'm not even exercising. And so for that 1 hour class, it could be helpful to supplement either before or after. If you're going to do it before, usually like at least 30 minutes before, you'd want to add in that electrolyte supplement, or you can do it during or immediately after, whatever it is. If you're noticing like muscle cramping or something like that. So again, paying attention to your body and how you're feeling. So you didn't supplement with electrolytes and you just felt really crampy like at the end of a workout, that could be a sign that you're dehydrated and needing electrolytes. So then maybe like after that workout, like grabbing something from the fridge that's going to contain electrolytes, or the next day being like, I'm going to add in an electrolyte supplement before I work out. Also, if you do like long bouts of endurance exercise, if you're going greater than an hour, you definitely want to be supplementing with electrolytes so that you can prevent muscle cramping. So doing that before exercise, and then if it's going to be a really long effort, you're going to be wanting to supplement your electrolytes like every 30 minutes while you're exercising.
Yeah, and the body has a really good way of letting you know that you're dehydrated or low on those things. You definitely feel it. But on the other side of that, it doesn't mean that like, oh, I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk in the heat, I'm going to start sweating, I need my electrolyte drink. Like try not to,
like
be
you
obsessed with it.
don't need a full Gatorade while you take a 10-minute walk
It's like
in the morning.
We're specifically talking about you've been sweating for an hour, or maybe you work a job that you're kind of sweating all day long, and then you're going and working out and sweating more. That's when you really need to replace it. If you work in an air-conditioned office all day and your 1 hour a day is sweating after the warm-up and everything, maybe 30 or 40 minutes of sweating, you probably don't need electrolytes. You're probably getting plenty of what you need throughout the day in your food and in your meals and stuff like that.
Yeah, and sources of electrolytes are going to be like, there are various electrolyte supplements on the market, like Element, LMNT is one, Noon, Liquid IV, Gatorade. I mean, we have a variety of products that contain electrolytes. And when we're saying electrolytes, we mean it's like sodium, potassium, magnesium are like the main ones that are going to be supplemented in those things. Primarily, we want like the sodium and the potassium are going to be the most important. Really, the sodium, if you have to pick one. You could also just add salt to water.
You can just add salt.
That's just.
But that's not fun. There's no marketing with salt.
That's straight sodium.
Yeah.
Straight sodium in your water. Maybe with your creatine every morning.
A little white powder.
I know.
Double up on the white powder.
Yeah, if you're really trying to cut back on like cost, like that is actually all you're buying is like flavored salt.
Yes.
In a nice little package.
All right. One more two-part question, and then I have a supplement story that maybe we can laugh at. What are your thoughts on colostrum as a supplement? What do you do, or what supplements do you both take, and why? What supplements are overall most important for women going through perimenopause?
Okay, so colostrum is at least an emerging supplement coming out there. Colostrum is like the precursor to breast milk. So obviously humans produce breast milk, but so do other animals. And so it's going to be like a very high fat like, I won't say liquid, but it's a high-fat supplement, and it also contains a lot of amino properties. And so this is like the first nutrition that a baby gets when they're first born, and then the breast milk comes in, and then they're drinking just milk after that. So the colostrum can be beneficial in terms of like producing like immune benefit, as well as helping with our gut. And then there are also emerging research on athletic performance, because it can help with like muscle repair and recovery. Now, is it a useful supplement? And I'm going to say it depends, because you have to weigh like the cost to the potential benefit. One, this is all still emerging research, so it's not like ironclad you will get better muscle recovery and repair, or repair like this long like chronic knee issue or back issue or whatever it is. Like there's not going to be like a magic pill by taking colostrum. And like I said, it is very expensive. And then also it's like, to what benefit? Like, what are your goals? And will taking colostrum like get you there? Like, are you Tom Brady trying to like make a comeback to the NFL, and you want to like, you need to recover really young or really well so that you can keep up with like all the young guys? Like, okay, yeah, maybe Tom Brady should take colostrum if he's trying to rejoin the NFL. But if you're just trying to like improve your Fran time, or like run a faster mile, or like lift a little bit heavier, like, is colostrum going to get you there? Like, you should probably really look at the rest of your diet and your mobility routine and your intention in your training before adding in something like colostrum. Do you have thoughts on that, Elliot?
That's it. That's all I got.
And then also the colostrum supplement is not human colostrum. It's generally like from cow's milk, or like a cow source. So if you do have a dairy allergy, colostrum would not be your best choice, or intolerance.
They didn't. I don't think anybody asked any questions on collagen. We can quickly.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of collagen is typically good in the morning for joints and stuff. Again, this is one of those like, why are your joints an issue? If you are a very poor mover, you always skip mobility, you have a couple of glasses of wine every night, and you're like, I just have achy knees and elbows. That is where we need to address lifestyle factors over just going and be like, all right, I need a supplement. I need collagen because my joints are bad. If you're doing what seems like all of the right things, you have a healthy diet, and for whatever reason, maybe, prior sports injuries and things, that you're having some degrading joints, the collagen protein has been shown to kind of benefit some of that pain to go away. I don't think it necessarily can just regenerate your cartilage, but it can help with the elasticity and stuff. And I think there's some skin benefits too.
Yeah, skin, hair, nails, like stuff like that. Can I see your list of questions? I feel like we missed one. And then there was the perimenopause. And so I think we already like covered a lot of the perimenopause like supplements. Sorry, let me just get to where I need to in my notes. Really, this is something you need to be like conferring with or consulting with your doctor before adding in supplements, because sometimes they might have, if you are having symptoms of perimenopause, like hot flashes or night sweats, or like difficulty sleeping, or whatever other symptoms you might be experiencing, this is definitely something you want to like talk to your doctor about before adding in like natural supplements. So there are like natural remedies for some of these things, but how effective they're going to be, is still like emerging research, I'll say. I just know, like, anecdotally, I know someone who was like taking all sorts of like natural supplements to try to like help with their like extreme like hot flashes and stuff, and then just like was very much suffering despite how many like adaptogens and other supplements they were taking. And then they went to their doctor finally and got on just like a low dose like hormone replacement, and like instantly the next day had no hot flashes. So I'm not saying like you need to take a medication in order to regulate these things, but this is definitely something to be consulting with your doctor for. And really just keeping like a healthy diet, and then paying attention to like your bone health. So like monitoring your calcium intake, like getting your vitamin D levels checked. This is where supplementing with collagen could be helpful. And then we actually didn't talk about fish oils at all either.
That's what I was going to go into, the supplements that I take.
Gotcha. So then adding in, fish oil could be helpful as well, just in terms of like anti-inflammatory benefits.
Yeah. Do you want to go more into fish oil and anti-inflammatory?
Sure.
I think it's probably one of the most, I think it's one of my top recommendations because
Same.
your balance, obviously, like you were saying earlier, the homeostasis aspect of it, inflammation isn't necessarily bad, but too much inflammation for too long is bad. And so while we don't want to just never have inflammation, we actually do need inflammation for healing. We can use supplementation because of a high inflammatory diet to help balance that scale. So there's a ratio in your body of inflammatory versus anti-inflammatory, and omega-3 fatty acids are the anti-inflammatory, and those are usually overwhelmed by the inflammatory, the inflammatory ratio. I hope I didn't mix that up too many times. But basically we want to balance it out. Oftentimes people are like, 25 to 1 inflammatory versus anti-inflammatory, and just taking Advil or Tylenol to clear inflammation is like you would anything else, just a quick fix of like, hey, this specific instance. But you shouldn't be taking an anti-inflammatory like a Tylenol every single day because you just have like joint pain or inflammation. That's like, I would way rather you supplement with fish oils and try to address why that's happening.
Right, and one of the main benefits of fish oil, and this is very heavily researched, and there's a lot of strong evidence, is that it's going to have a lot of heart health benefits, lowering your triglycerides, reducing your blood pressure, just keeping your cardiovascular system running more efficiently. So very beneficial for anyone with like a family history of that. It's very safe to take. Now, one thing with fish oil is you want to make sure that you're getting a quality supplement, one that is free of mercury, just making sure you're getting what the bottle says it does, as we discussed earlier. And then like fish oil is kind of like a more broad term, but within fish oil there's like different types of omega-3 fatty acids. So you have your DHA, your EPA, and then there's like other. And so you want to be getting primarily EPA and DHA in your fish oil supplement. Now the other side of that is if you eat a diet that's rich in fish and seafood, then you're probably getting enough. If you're getting like 2-3 servings of that per week, you probably do not need to add in a fish oil supplement. If you really dislike seafood or you just really rarely eat it, then adding in a fish oil supplement is certainly beneficial.
And if you take too much, if you're kind of in the upper limit, your GI system lets you know that you've taken too much fish oil for the day.
Yeah, because a lot of times you'll get like the bottle, and then I'll say like take it like 3 times a day, and you can always adjust that dose yourself too. Like I know for me, like I try to get in at least like 1 or 2 servings of like fish per week. It doesn't always happen, and so I just like add in my supplement on top of that. If I'm like eating a lot of seafood that week, then I can kind of like back down on the fish oil supplement. So you don't have to take it every day. If you know you're eating like a decent amount of seafood one week and then not another week, you can always kind of like modulate your dose in that way.
And then supplements we take.
Yeah, so I take fish oil and creatine are the only 2 supplements I take on a daily basis, as well as like supplementing with protein as well. So I use whey protein and then sometimes like a casein protein powder as like an evening snack, and that's just like a slower digesting protein source.
I take, when I can remember, the omega-3s. I definitely take creatine, caffeine in form of like a pre-workout. Protein, very on and off. I really try to put heat on meat and eat protein from animal sources. The vitamin D, I will typically supplement in the winter just because it usually will feel a little bit, I'll get some benefits from it, if I can remember. And then every once in a while, I'll also play around with magnesium at night to see. It just gives me wild dreams, like very vivid, wild dreams. So I don't know if necessarily it's like improving my sleep, but I'm just kind of like experimenting with it and with my trackers to see if I'm getting deeper sleep and stuff. So I see magnesium as more of like an experimental, like, let's see if it's happening, not I'm necessarily trying to fix things, because I just try to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep, as much as possible.
Yeah, I have purchased a magnesium supplement to help with sleep, and I've only remembered to take it like a handful of times.
Yeah. Did you have wild dreams or no?
Not that I recall.
Yeah. So you might have enough magnesium, and there's just
right. Yeah, I kind of just started taking it on a whim, and it's just not fixed in my routine, so I don't take it on a regular basis like I do my other supplements that I take in the morning.
All right, and I have a short supplement story. So when I first started getting into supplements in the Navy, there's this pre-workout called Super Pump 250, and this is a great example of what they claim on the bottle, which is also happening and all that stuff. So Super Pump 250, instant muscle amplifier, lean mass catalyst, promotes skin-tearing muscle pumps, roadmap vascularity, and explosive workouts. Lean mass in the very first workout.
Wow.
Well, pretty crazy, right? Only $30
per supplement.
And so it has all these things, right? It's like taurine and potassium, glyphosate, all this stuff in it. And the Insane Energy Blend, which it says on the bottle to take anywhere from 1 to 3 scoops. And of course, the 22-year-old that I was like, well, we got to go 3 scoops. I was reading the label. Each scoop has 350 milligrams of caffeine. So me and my friends were taking 3 scoops of Super Pump in like a shaker bottle like that, only filling it up halfway, and going to the gym and being like, this supplement is amazing. They were right. Like, I do have roadmap vascularity. I do have insane focus. I do have insane pump.
Insane vasodilation.
Yeah, maybe too insane. So I definitely don't recommend that. It was one of those things where it was like a placebo of like, I was just so excited about taking that supplement and way over caffeinated that I just believed everything that was on there, because I had a gram of caffeine pumping through my body as
That's a lot of caffeine.
it was a lot. So I look back at that and being like, wow, I'm really glad I stopped doing that. So now I try to, limit myself under 400 milligrams of caffeine, which is like, a couple cups of coffee or coffee and a pre-workout and stuff like that. So
yeah, I guess I should say I also supplement with caffeine in the form of coffee, because I always work out in the morning and I always have my coffee before I work out.
Yeah. And so do you have any bad supplement stories where you tried to boost some ridiculous thing or try to have some results that were on the bottle that you're like, oh?
No, I've always been pretty level-headed and not able to fall for those sorts of things. Oh, the other thing I should add is I sometimes also take a carbohydrate supplement while I'm working out.
But that is specifically for like when you're working out for 90 minutes, 2 hours plus. If you're taking carbohydrates during a workout and you're doing a 30, 45 minute workout, like a CrossFit workout, you may feel better a little bit after because you kind of like, it catches up, but you're not feeling the effects of those carbohydrates because they just can't be digested that quickly until you're already done with the workout. So all of those studies have been, especially with like caffeine and carbohydrates, it's like if you want to be able to keep pushing past the hour mark, that's where that carbohydrate comes in.
And honestly, I'm only taking it because I recently got Invisalign, and so I don't want to have to I would normally eat my carbohydrates, but to save myself from having to take the things out and brush my teeth, I've been drinking my carbohydrates a little bit more. Save myself one round of teeth brushing, even though you still have to after, but it's just during a workout thing.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
That's all I got. Yeah, sorry, no crazy supplement stories.
All right, well, live a little more wild. Maybe we'll get one for part 2 of this if we do a part 2.
Yes.
All right.
Send in more questions.
Bye, everyone.